Hey gamers, this is Liz Davidson from Beyond Solitaire, and today I'm going to show you how to solo Agricola, Master of Britain, designed by Tom Russell, published by Hollandspiele games, and all about trying to conquer Roman Britain during the reign of Emperor Domitian. So the map will tell you where your legions are supposed to go. It'll match according to the Roman numeral on each of the tokens, and then you also have a starting setup for each of the legions. So these auxiliaries we'll talk about in just a second. But Augusta starts with 3 1 Aquila units, so it's the weakest of the legions. Then you come over here to Hispana, where you have 1 1 Aquila and 2 2 Aquila units, so the 2s are stronger. And then you come over here to Valeria Victrix, where you have 2 2 Aquila units and 1 3. I've chosen to put Agricola with Valeria Victrix, but you actually have a choice. Then you also get to draw 4 auxiliaries from the friendly cup, which we'll talk about in a moment, and put them with your legions. This is the force pool, so as we add throughout the game, you can take from here. And then we have a few little trackers over here that we'll talk through in more detail. But the Legion Actions track starts at 3. Normally you get 5, but on turn 1 you get 3 only. We have our income track, so our income starts at 3, and our treasury, which is how much money we actually have to work with at the moment, is 4. Our victory track starts at 0, of course, and you start here at game turn 1. So when you play Agricola, Master of Britain, the goal is to make it all the way through turn 8, and in order to do that, you're going to need to have 75 VP, and also if Calgacus, the basically British chieftain, comes out, you'll have had to defeat him at Mons Gropius as well before you are allowed to consider yourself the winner of the game. There are a number of ways to lose. The most common is not hitting your VP thresholds, but if your army loses a battle for any reason, because Romans don't lose, you lose the game. If you run out of money, you lose the game. So to do initial setup of your first enemies, you're going to take all of these green chits and put them off to the side, and you're also going to take the tan chieftain and put him off to the side. Then you're going to put all of the tan units in this cup. So one of the ways that enemy loyalties shift in this game, and the way the game represents that, is by moving chits between these cups. So this one's the battle cup. It's just going to be off to the side because if we pull from it, we're going to do battle. This is the friendly cup where we got our blue auxiliaries from. This is the unfriendly cup. Currently all the red enemies are in there and they'll pop up in this region. And then we start by seeding the board with people in the tan area and green area. So I'll show you how it works. So basically what we're going to do first is, now that all the tan units minus the chieftain are in here, we are going to pull from this cup until we get at least 2 Ordovices, 1 Silures, 1 Demetai, and 1 Deceangli. So we basically need somebody in each of these regions. If we draw extras, well, that's just too bad. So let's see what we get. So we got 1 Ordovices. So we need at least 2 of those. Silures. Another Silures, so we'll have 2. That's rough, especially because they have a high resistance. Here's our second Ordovices. All right, so here are some Deceangli. And some Demetai. So we actually did pretty okay. We got 2 Ordovices out, we got 2 Silures out, 1 Deceangli, 1 Demetai. So we can stop pulling from here for right now. But now what's going to happen is we're going to take this chieftain and put him in. We'll leave the green chieftain out for just now. He's the leader. But all these other guys are going to go into the hostile cup. All the greens except for their boss, who's the dude with like the cool hat. And then now what's going to happen is we're going to draw from this cup until we get 4 green units of any kind out here on the board. That means that if we draw extra tan units, including potentially the leader, we put those out as well. So the board state can start out as better or worse, just sort of depending every time you play. So let's pull. Uh-oh. So we got a chieftain. So here is the commander for the tan area of the board. So he's already going to be out. So we've got a tough start to this game. So to figure out where this leader goes, we are going to roll a die to place him. So these little numbers next to the areas on the map are telling us. So basically, if we get a 4+, he's going to go hang out with the Deca Angli. If we get a 2, he's going to hang out with the Ordovices. Here he'll be with the Silures, and here he'll be with the Demetai. So what we're going to do is we're going to roll. Let's see what we get. Ooh, a 3. Okay, so that's actually kind of good for us because he's coming to a place where we can come and try to get him. So we'll see how that actually goes. Because if you get a tribal leader, it's worth victory points, which is something we'll talk about. So he could be a real pain in the rear, but maybe it's good that we drew him. I don't know. It could be horrible. So we got to keep drawing still until we get 4 green. So let's just keep it up. All right, so here we got some Wozadini. Here we have some more Wozadini. That's a little scary. All right, so we have some Parisi. And then hopefully we draw another green and not a tan, so we don't have to put any more on the board. We got some Brigantes. All right, so we got our work cut out for us. That is the beginning of the game. And so the green leader is going to go into the hostile cup with the rest of the green guys now. So the remaining tan and green guys are in the hostile cup, the red guys are in the unfriendly cup, and the blue guys are in the friendly cup. But that's going to change as we do cup adjustments, which is something that you'll see shortly. So now we're ready to begin playing on our end. We're gonna only get 3 actions this turn, but on the second we'll get 5. I don't intend to play more than 2 turns of this game, and I'm going to tell you why. The reason is that the puzzle of trying to reach these increasingly high victory point thresholds is really part of the fun of the game. You just have to play it a bunch of times and feel frustrated. I don't want to give too much of a roadmap because I want other people to have the experience of learning how to make smarter decisions in the game themselves and, you know, to have that struggle, because once you're not struggling anymore, the game actually maybe isn't as fun. So embrace those first frustrating plays where you lose really fast, because it's okay. So the thing about this game is that you only survive to the next turn if you get enough victory points. So one thing I can tell you is that really you should be able to make it through the first turn, and I'll tell you how. You get a victory point, 1 victory point for each of 4 things in the game. 1 is for every region in your map that is clear of enemy units. So for right now, the red region and the blue region are clear. Unless something really weird happens, probably they will stay clear until the end of the turn. I can't guarantee it, but the odds are pretty good. You also get 1 point for every level 3 unit that you have in your army. So we start with 1 here in Willaria Wictrix. So that's 1 point automatically. The other thing that you get points for is you can have a point for every dead general, well, dead enemy leader that is in the dead pool. So if we can kill him, then he'll be a constant source of points for the entire remainder of the game, because he never leaves the dead pool, unlike other enemy units. So if we can kill him, we will. And the other way to get points in the game is from having fully developed settlements, but that's a 2-turn process. So I plan to play long enough to show you how to build a settlement, and then we will stop. So those are your main 4 ways. Those are the most sustainable ways to keep farming victory points, because you count victory points at the end of every turn. And even if you've already gotten a victory point for something, like having killed this guy, for instance, if we get lucky, then you get that point again at the end of every single turn all the way through the game. So you have increasing repeat benefits from building a good victory point engine in the game. The other way to get victory points is to purchase them, so you can spend 3 coins for a victory point. If you're not building settlements, I recommend doing that whenever possible, just to up your totals, but it's not a sustainable source of points turn to turn the way that some of the actions are. So we have several options when it comes to the actions that we're going to take. I'm going to walk you through the main actions that actually cost us an action up here. There are also some free leader actions because our buddy Agricola is on the field and we need him to do awesomely. So that's what he is for. If Agricola's son-in-law Tacitus is to be believed, then he was in fact a brilliant leader, but all we know of him is from his son-in-law's biography, so I mean, who knows? We'll assume that Tacitus was mostly telling the truth, even if he was a bit of a kiss-up. So the actions that we can take in this game are many. There are a lot of options that we have, but using the options correctly is always what's the hardest. So we can choose, so we need to deal with all the enemies in these regions. If there's ever a point where you have like 3 enemies stacked up, they're in open rebellion against you, and you have to deal with them by fighting them in a battle. So that is no joke. So this thing, we're gonna have to come over here and fight a battle. The other thing is that because there's a tribal leader in this region, we are gonna have a hard time taking some of the actions that are options to us because his influence in this region will make it harder to get stuff done over here. So there's a cleanup phase where he would leave the board at the end of the turn. So we have some choices. We can either do a bunch of cleanup up in here and ignore this area until next round and just hope for the best, or we can come down here and just go wild and go for it and maybe have a battle. So there's a lot of strategic choice in the game, because trying to keep one or more areas under control is pretty key. So our options include a suppress action. So what that means is that since there's only 2 guys here, for example, if we wanted to try to come over here and suppress, then we could go after these guys without actually having a battle. So we would roll a die, and if it's bigger than 4, which is this resistance number, we can at least remove this guy. If Agricola is with the unit that chose to take the suppress action, then we get to remove an extra chit from the board. However, this tribal leader has a leadership bonus, which makes suppression a little bit more difficult. So the question is, do you want to actually do it, or do you just want to go have a fight? The other thing is that suppressing, even if it's not overt battle, does upset the locals. So you'll move one chit from the unfriendly to the hostile cup, and then you'll have hostile tribe reactions where you pull more enemies out of the cup and put them on the board. Basically, everything that you do in the game is going to make someone unhappy, so you're going to have to adjust the loyalties from cup to cup, and you're probably going to provoke a hostile tribe reaction. So for example, even if we remove these guys, we might draw more tan units to replace them because we caused a hostile reaction. At some point, we're going to take a garrison action, which is where we turn one of these 1 Aquila units into a basic level fort. So that will probably be an action that we take this turn. Over a couple of turns, you can build the garrison up until you have a level 3 fort, which produces both money for you, and it allows you to collect victory points. So that'll be a long-term goal that we have. You can do peacekeeping. Peacekeeping is basically where you just march around and show off how powerful you are. It's a way to move because you can't move in the game without also taking an action. However, peacekeeping does annoy people. It makes people go from hostile to unfriendly, but you're still going to get more units on the board. So peacekeeping is a way to manipulate the distribution of enemies between cups, but it still is going to tick somebody off. We can go ahead and take an outright battle action and just get into it, which is something I'll definitely do this turn so you can see how a battle works. The other option, interestingly, is passing. So this is something you shouldn't be doing too much in the early game because there's just too much to do. But passing will provoke at least 1 hostile tribe reaction, but it's a way of gaining victory points for every action that you don't take. So by the end of the game, if you pass early in the turn, you can pick up a bunch of victory points just by not doing anything. So the idea is that you're ruling with a light hand, and so the locals, the British tribes don't get quite as upset at you, the invading colonial power. You also have to pay attention to leader actions because Agricola has his own little power. So every normal action that you take has bonuses if he's with you, but he also can attach himself to different legions. He can reorganize legions, so he can take as a free action the opportunity to move soldiers around, and he also has the ability to negotiate. So if I wanted to deal with these guys but I didn't want to fight them, I could actually decide to kind of gamble some money from my treasury and attempt to roll to overcome their resistance and buy them off, which is nice because it removes somebody from the board without a conflict, but it also moves the chit from the board into the friendly cup, which means you can maybe get them as an auxiliary unit later. So my main goal of the turn is to go get in a fight with this guy, but this is my weakest legion. So I think what I'm first going to do is I'm going to take some of my little free leader actions. So before each legion action, you can take any number of these. They're freebies. And I want to do some rearranging of my troops. One thing that's interesting is that you can arrange troops that are in adjacent boxes, but these with the double lines all count as adjacent. So I can adjust things. I can take guys from the Hispana Legion and put them with Augusta, switch them around with Willeria Wictrix. I have a lot of options right now, so this is a good time to do this. So basically, I do not want this little weak unit army, this little weak legion going up against this stack of tribal units, because that's just a bad idea. I just don't think that's smart. So I think what we're going to do is, first of all, Agricola is going to come here, and we are going to trade out some of our units. So let's trade this one unit guy here to put 1 to Aquila person here. And then we're going to trade 1 with Willaria Victrix as well. So that way, instead of having 3 of the weakest possible units, we have 2 2s, a 1, and then these auxiliaries. There are some limits to how you can do your soldiers up. So just so you know, you can't have more than 2 auxiliaries for each legionary battle unit in the box. So right now we're totally good. We couldn't have more than 6 auxiliary units. The other thing that's sort of interesting is that no legion's allowed to have 3 times as many units as any other one. So for example, I could not have, 6 guys over here and just 2 over here. So there's limits. I can't just like move everybody over and make like a mega legion. I can combine the legions so that they're marching together. So that's possible, but that may not be the easiest thing to do at this particular moment. So now that Agricola has moved here with a slightly tougher set of guys, so Agricola is going to come and he's going to, so when you take a legionary action, you can move 1 adjacent box. So we're going to move here and we're going to get into a fight. If Agricola weren't here, because there is a tribal leader, he might have given initiative to our enemy, but since Agricola is here, it negates that effect. So what we're going to do is we're going to roll a die to figure out how many bad guys we need to take. Well, they're good guys to them. Let's be real. We're the occupiers here. We're going to see how many enemies are going to get pulled from this battle cup for battle. We're going to do that by looking at this modifier right here. So the Solitaires already have a resistance of 5. We're going to add that to our roll. Then we're going to add 1 more to it because of the presence of the tribal leader. So let's see what we roll. All right, they only rolled a 2. So it's 2, 3, 8. So we've rolled an 8, and we are going to determine how many enemies come from the battle cup by looking at this tribal formation table. All right, so I rolled an 8 for the Solitaires. So what that's going to mean is that we are going to come down to the die roll here of 8. We're going to find the Solitaires on here, and it's going to mean that we are going to draw 7 enemy units for our battle. So here's an up-close view of the battle page for this game. So what I've done is I've taken 7 of the gray chits from the battle cup and I've just put them in a row. They are randomly drawn this time, and I put them in spaces 1 through 7. If we had more spaces, they would go 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. And one thing that's interesting about these is that we won't get to Mons Grappius in this playthrough, but at the Battle of Mons Grappius, you actually basically have to beat everybody twice. So they have this harder red side, and then you have to get them again on the other side. So it's brutal. So one thing that's good for us is that we have initiative, and we also have tactical advantage because we have Agricola with us. One good thing about initiative is that we are not taken by surprise, so we get to draw these guys out of the battle cup first. Then we get to decide where to put our own units. So there's some tough guys over here. So we're going to put these Roman soldiers in locations where I'm pretty sure we can take them out. And then we're going to put our auxiliaries over here on the end and just kind of hope for the best for their lives. And the way this works is we're basically going to roll a die for each attack and each defense that we have. We get to attack first because we have initiative. Thank you, Agricola. If we did not have Agricola with us, that'd be up in the air because there is a tribal chieftain present whom we're hoping to destroy in this battle. So we are going to go ahead and attack first. So our attack value is in the top, our defense value is in the bottom. His defense is 5, his defense is 5, his defense is 6. Basically what's going to happen is we're going to roll, and then this is the modifier, that top number that we're adding to our attack. Because we have tactical advantage through Agricola, without him, our soldiers would be forced to always attack the enemy that has the higher defense value. However, if it comes down to this guy, and this one isn't killed for some reason, then he gets to choose whether to go for the 4-4 or the 4-5 because Agricola is present. Otherwise, he would have to go for the 4-5. So we're going to go from left to right, and we're going to roll attacks. So this dude's a little bit weaker, so we're going to go ahead and roll to try to kill this one. We're going to go for him. Okay. So If we roll, we have a 3. He has a defense value 5, so we need to roll a 3 or higher on this die. Okay, so we rolled a 6, and that means that this dude is gone. Goodbye, off to the Deadpool. Now we're going to try again. So this guy has no choice but to attack the 5-6. So this time we need to roll a 4 or higher in order to succeed. All right, so we rolled a 5. So 5 plus 3 is 8, which is bigger than 6. So this guy is gone. Excellent. We're having a good battle so far. Now our 2-4 level 1 Aquila can attack this guy, the one who's 4-4. So he only attacks for 2, so we need to get 3 or better in order to win. Okay, so that didn't work out very well. Now did it? It's going to be 2 and 2, which adds up to 4. We didn't beat it. So this guy did not succeed in his attack. This guy can try again. So we're going to go ahead and go for this 4-4. Because his attack value is only 1. It's not great. So if we get a high roll, we have a better chance of destroying that one. Wow. Okay, so we actually rolled an 8. So that means that this little auxiliary unit, bing, knocked this guy off. Fantastic. And now this guy gets an attack. And who are we going to go for? Let's think. I think that we are going to go after... Well, we might as well try to go after the 5-5. And actually that worked out really well. 5-6 is bigger than 5. So this guy is gone. Now what's going to happen is defense turn. So the way that this tends to work is that each of these guys gets attacked. If you're adjacent to an enemy that's engaged with you, you have to roll defense. So this dude's attack is 4. Our defense is 5. So basically, even without a die roll, we know for sure that we're going to win. So his attack will fail. This guy has an attack of 4. Each of these guys has a defense of 3. So we're going to roll for each of them to see if they live. So this guy's 4 is going to come at me. I have to roll better than a 1. And sadly, sorry guys, that was a 1. So this guy dies. That's unfortunate. Oops. And then this guy rolled an 8 as defense, so he's going to live. So that attack will fail. So now what's going to happen is that now the defense round is over, in preparation for the next attack round, we are going to kind of change our line. So the way that this works is that the main priority is soldiers have to be engaged with someone. So this enemy is engaged and this enemy is engaged with us. And then, so basically if this enemy weren't here, we'd be focused on filling up our battle line and just closing up any holes in the line. However, that's not actually going to be possible because this guy is engaged, so we're not going to move him. What will happen, so all of our guys are either engaged or they're filling up holes in the line. So they're right where they're supposed to be. This guy, however, is unengaged and there's a hole in the line. So he's going to come down here and fill some of that hole, which is a shame because if this guy were isolated, then we would be able to pick him off right away. But he has a friend. All right, so now that everybody's rearranged, so these guys are engaged with each other, which is why there's still a hole in the line. They're just going to stay over here and they're going to keep their engagement. They're grappling. These guys have moved over into battle, so they've reformed. Now we're going to have another attack round. So I'm going to come here with this guy and attack. So my attack value is 3, his defense value is 5. I need to roll a 3 or higher. Okay, so we rolled a 5, and that is good because that means that he will be gone. And then here, we're going to try to get this guy who has a 6 value, so we need to roll a 4 or higher. Sorry, that was ridiculous. Oh, we rolled an 8. That's excellent, so this guy will die. And now these guys are going to get in sort of an awkward fight. So basically they're going to go back and forth until someone wins, and then, yeah. So this guy's an attack value of 4. I have a defense value of 3. I need to roll a 1 or better. I need to roll better than a 1. So I rolled a 4, so I lived. But now with my attack value of 1, I have to overcome a 5. All right, so sadly it didn't work out. I only rolled a 4. 4 plus 1 is 5, which will match. Oh, come on, dude. So now we're going to go back. So there's no need to reform the lines because basically everybody either moves all the way over or stays engaged with someone. So these guys aren't going to move this direction. So we're going to keep this fight going. Come on. So he's attacking me now. And again, I need to roll better than a 1 to survive. Are you serious? I rolled another 1. Okay, so this guy died. That's so unfortunate. What a bummer. That stinks. But I guess it is what it is. And that guy kind of went flying off. So there's 2 auxiliaries in here. All right, and then this guy has moved down here, but we are pretty much going to get him because he is isolated. So what isolation means is if he's adjacent to one of my units and is the only enemy battle unit adjacent to my unit, which is true, and his attack factor is either less than or equal to my defense factor, so 4 is less than 5, it's less than, then he will automatically get picked off. So I lost an auxiliary in the process, unfortunately, but I did win the battle. So that part is good. So let's go to battle resolution and I'll show you how all that works. All right, so now we get to resolve our battle. So there's stuff that you get to do. The first thing you can do is called promotion and reorganization. So each legion that participated in the battle gets to promote a battle unit, a legion one. So that means that we get to increase the stats on one of our guys here. So we're going to have a look at who's in the Augusta Legion. I'm going to move one of my 2 units up to a 3 because it gives him better defense. And also I'm going to get a victory point for that every round for the rest of the game unless he dies, which is great. All right, so that is our promotion. If we had more than 1 legion involved in the battle, we could have mixed our guys up and kind of readjusted, but we don't actually have that going on. Now we're going to do some cup adjustments. So for each eliminated legion battle unit, fortunately there weren't any, this is the dead pool, we would have to move one chit from the unfriendly cup to the hostile for each eliminated legionary battle unit. So every time they get those Romans, you get more hostile people. However, we did have 1 legion that took part in the battle. So that means that one of these friendlies is going to become unfriendly. So we move from one cup to another. So what that means is that our actions in this area have had an impact on the people who live here. And now they have feelings about what we've done, and the cup adjustments reflect the feelings that they're having. Now we're going to resolve the dead pool. So all the battle cup guys just go back in the battle cup. Our blue friends are going to go back into the friendly cup so we can recruit them again later. They'll sort of reincarnate. And then what we get to do is we get to eliminate tribal units. So all of the tribal units that were over here in this spot now go to the dead pool. What's particularly good is this tribal leader will stay there forever and we get points off of him for every single round. Yay! These dudes will go back in the mix, so we'll deal with that. So these guys all go into the dead pool. And then we have to resolve hostile tribe reactions. So we basically have to deal with the further reactions to what we've done. So when you take a battle action, now that we've done it, we're all done, we have to do 1 friendly to unfriendly just because we've done it. So we automatically do another cup adjustment. So we did 1 for each legion that took place, and then we also just have to do the normal cup adjustment. And then we have to do 2 hostile tribe reactions. So we have to pull 2 guys out of here. So we pulled some Silures. Since there's already a Roman unit here, they don't actually go onto the map. They just go back into the cup. Also, Agricola is with them. And then we'll pull 1 more. So in this case, we got some Parisi. So we've got some tougher stuff going on out here in the green region on the map. So that was our first legion action. That was the biggest one we'll take. I just showed you the hardest thing first. That's the most complicated part of the game. Everything else is pretty straightforward. All right, so now we can take 2 more actions. So I think I know what I want to do, at least for the first one. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to get a little risky. We're going to shrink this unit a little bit. No, I want to take a suppress action first. So what I'm going to do is we're trying to eliminate these guys down here, because if you can get whales under control, the rest of the game gets a little bit easier, and you don't want to set yourself up for just too many problems on too many fronts. So we're going to kind of neglect this over here for the first 3 actions, and we're going to do some work over here. So I want to do a little bit of suppression. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to move Valeria Victrix right up in here, and we're going to come suppress the Ordovices. So for a suppress action, what that means is that we are going to roll against this resistance number of 4. If we beat it, then we pop off this top unit. If Agricola were with them, then he would be able to pop off the second one as well, but he is with these guys down here, and that's just how it is because we had to come out and have a battle. So I'm thinking that we'll do a little bit of reorganization because Valeria Wictrix is a strong legion, and maybe work on kind of eliminating stuff over here. So let's go ahead and roll. All right, so we got a 5, so that means that we will succeed. Haha, so the Ordovices are off the map, but these tougher ones remain, so we'll have to do something about them shortly. So these guys are going to be removed, and then we just put them in the dead pool because we eliminated them, so they're just going to hang out. We'll resolve where they go later. We're going to put one person from the unfriendly cup into the hostile cup because they got mad, and then we're going to have 2 hostile tribe reactions, so we'll see who we pull. All right, so we got some Brigantes. So this area is starting to look pretty bad. We pull out one more, and it is actually a Cornovi. So this area is getting very, very full of green enemies. Yikes. And now what we're going to do, since we're here, is I think it would be smart of us to go ahead and make a garrison. So we're going to put a garrison here. So I left this little 1 value unit guy here for just this purpose. So we have one more action to take. We're going to convert this one. See how it says garrison on the other side? We're going to go ahead and take him out of the unit, out of the legion rather, and just put him here as a garrison. And we're going to hang out with him in case there are any ambushes during the end of turn phase. So I don't have a lot of units. I really need to recruit. So that's something I'll be thinking about during my little cleanup phase. But for now, I've placed a garrison. And the reaction that we're going to have to that is that they actually kind of like it. So we're going to go from 1 unfriendly to friendly, but there's still going to be a hostile tribe reaction, and there will be 1 of those. Okay, and actually this worked out cool because it's another Silures, but we are in their spot on the map already, so bing, back at the cup. So he doesn't actually make it out onto the map, which is good because it's starting to look ugly. So those were our 3 actions. So now we're going to go into the end of turn phase and counter victory points and do all that stuff. So in the housekeeping phase, the first thing we're going to check for is raids. So if there's ever 3 or more enemy units in a box or 2 and a tribal leader, so we're not having that right now, so we're not going to have to worry about it. Basically what that means is that if any of those boxes that are kind of overflowing are next to a box that is containing either one of your settlement markers, like this garrison, or a legionary camp, and you also don't have any legions or garrisons that are adjacent to those, so they're basically unguarded, then the tribe will raid and it messes up your treasury, so you lose money. Then if you lose all of your money, you will lose the game, so you have to watch out for that. Then there's going to be tribal de-escalation. So what that means is that if we had that tribal leader still out here, he would leave, but we've killed him. Then for each region that has a +3 settlement, then we would take the topmost tribal unit from each box. So if I can get this garrison into a settlement, I could have just taken all these guys out. So a +3 settlement helps you manage the guys that are coming out onto the board. And then even without a settlement, we would eliminate the topmost tribal unit from each box that had at least 3 units, but we're not going to do that. Nobody gets eliminated this time. So basically everything kind of settles down between turns a little bit, so you don't have these increasingly messy situations that never resolve, or else you'd never be able to win the game. Okay, so now we're going to talk about Romanization. So we need to look at the dead pool. So here are the units that are here. We've got these tan units. The tribal leader is going to stay forever, and we're just going to enjoy points as we dance on his corpse. I don't know. I have no idea. But we are going to see if these guys get Romanized. Basically, things will resolve one way if there's no other units here and there's a +3 settlement, but that's not going to happen. We have tribal units and Roman presence. If there's no Roman presence, they get more hostile. So basically what's going to happen is these guys, because we have Roman presence, but we also haven't eliminated all of the tan units, these guys are going to go into the unfriendly cup. So they're unfriendly, but they're not going to immediately pop back out onto the map. We have the situation somewhat under control. Now we're going to have an income phase. So we haven't spent any money yet this turn, which is pretty great. So we're going to increase our treasury by our income level. So our income level is 3. So we're going to go 5, 6, 7 for our money. And then we get to decide if we want to get some new auxiliaries. So at the expenditure of 1 coin from the treasury, we can buy them 1 at a time, and we can buy up to 3 of them. So I would like to purchase at least 2. I feel like we need to fill out what's going on in here. So let's buy 2 of them. So we're going to spend 1 and pull 1. So we'll put that one there. And let's spend another coin and pull 1 more. So he'll go here. Those are pretty good. Nice. And then now we get to do public works. So at this point, we get to pay 2 coins in order to either replace a garrison with a +2 settlement marker or place a +2 on its +3 side. We 100% want to spend this money to flip this garrison here into a settlement. So this guy's going to go into the force pool, and we're going to have a level 2 settlement here. If we can make it level 3 next turn, then it becomes more powerful, which is exactly what we want. So now we get to do victory points and see if we want any new legions. You have to spend victory points to get legions. So that's a decision that we're going to have to make. So during this step, you can score victory points as follows. So we get 1 VP per +3 settlement marker. We're not there yet. We might get one next turn, depending on how we do. I can get 1 VP per region that has no tribal units. So that's 1, 2 VP. And you keep VP for the rest of the game, so you don't have to worry about that part. So that's 2. We get 1 VP for each 3 Aquila Legion battle unit. We have 1, 2 of those, so that is 4 victory points. We also get 1 VP for each tribal leader in the dead pool, and we have 1. So that's going to put us up to 5. So we have met the threshold for this game turn, which is 3 VP, and we will be able to advance to turn 2. But the other thing we have to track is we have the option to spend VP to recruit additional 1 Aquila battle units. So I have to give up 3 VP to buy 1 unit, -5 for 2, or -8 for 3. I don't want to spend VP like that. In fact, I can't because I just don't have the access. Because if I hit the end of this turn, I haven't hit 3, then I don't get to continue. So I can't actually afford to spend VP to buy any of these guys right now. I do, however, get to go on to turn 2. And what that's going to mean is that we are going to get to go back up to 5 actions for the next turn, which is very exciting. And then there will be some cup adjustments. So 1 of our friendlies is going to become unfriendly, and 4 of our unfriendly units are going to become hostile. Also, if there's less than 8 tribal units on the map, you have to keep adding them. So basically, you never get a break, ever. So because it's the end of the turn, 1 of our friendlies is going to become unfriendly. We probably need to bribe some people soon or something. And then 4 of our unfriendlies. So I got 2 in my hand now. I always have to grab these because my hand gets stuck in them. And then 2 more will go hostile on us. So the loyalties shift turn to turn. Now I think maybe we can play 1 more round just to kind of see how it goes. So we have 5 actions to work with. Let's see what we can do. I was thinking maybe we can try to clear out over here, and then if we can, maybe we'll move someone to build a garrison in one of these spaces, which I think seems like a good idea. All right, so now we're on to turn 2, and we should think about what to do. We've got 5 actions. I don't think that this area is going to stay clear for very much longer, so I'm not banking on a point from here. I'd like to keep this area clear and clear this one out. So I think what we should do is we should go on a little suppression adventure. So I think what Agricola is going to do is he's going to come over here, and we're going to go ahead and deal with the Demeti. We just roll better than 3 to suppress them. So we roll a 6. So these guys are gone. Goodbye. So they'll go into the eliminated Deadpool area. Now what's going to happen is, of course, suppression annoys people. We're not very friendly. Just so you know, we can't actually battle with these guys yet because there's only 1 unit in each space, and that's not good. So now we're going to have to do a cup adjustment. So 1 unfriendly becomes hostile. And then we're going to have 2 hostile tribe reactions from that. So let's go ahead and pull a couple guys from the cup. So we got our first Caledonii up here. So this area is no longer clear. And then for our second action, we are getting some Ordovices, but that doesn't matter. They'll go back in the cup because we had a legion there already. Yay! So these guys are out here, which means that that's 1 victory point we're not going to earn for a while because clearing out the red area is hard. So now we have to figure out what to do. So that was 1 action. Let's go ahead and maybe, I want to move Agricola back this way. So let's peacekeep. So we're going to take a peacekeeping action. So to peacekeep, you have to go to a box that's next to you, adjacent to you, that contains no tribal units, and it has to be in a region that has no tribal leader. So that was easy. And now what's going to happen, nothing actually happens for the most part. Except we can move to a second adjacent box that has no tribal units, but we don't actually want to do that. We don't want the Agricola effect. So we are going to take one of the hostile units and move them back to unfriendly, because peacekeeping helps keep the peace. And then there's going to be one hostile tribe reaction. So we're going to have some Solitaires try to pop out here, but they won't make it because we're in the Solitaires box. So as you can see, sometimes you get good compounding effects. I know there's a bunch of red in here. If we'd drawn that, we'd just be building up here, which would kind of suck. I think most of the greens are like out. Yikes. So that was action number 2. We have 3 actions left. I think what I might like to do is let's put our legions together. So now Agricola has moved with these 2 legions, so we can kind of start moving up this way. And we are going to go ahead and try to suppress these Ordovices. So let's see if I can do it. I need to roll a 6 or higher. It may not work. Oh, we rolled an 8. Well, dang. Okay, so these guys are off the map. And we've taken over this box. But of course, that means that somebody goes from unfriendly to hostile. And we're going to have 2 hostile tribe reactions. So that means that the Wenicones are going to come out. And then we're going to have a second unit of Deca Angli here to try to stop us from taking over their part of the world. So that was rough, but we did it. So it's 3 actions taken. And then I want to see if with my 4th action we can suppress these guys. Because with the Agricola effect, if we come over here and get rid of them, then that I can eliminate both. So I have to roll lucky, but maybe. I don't know. So we'll come over here. And we're going to try to suppress again. Ooh, another 8. Well, that's lucky. So this guy goes. And then because I have Agricola with me, the Agricola effect lets me eliminate this one too. So now this area is in fact clear, but I don't love where we are at physically. So I have taken 4 actions, and now I have 1 more. So the question is, do I want to build another garrison and work on that? Or do I want to move Agricola into a better spot for upcoming turns? That's kind of a hard choice. But I think what I'm going to do is I actually want to make the investment in a garrison. So I want to build one here. Yes. So we're going to move for our final action, and we're going to take this one Aquila guy to make into another garrison so we can pay money again to try to build up some settlements because they are worth points and they are good. So that was all of our actions. The garrison, by the way, is going to cause another hostile tribe reaction. So the first thing we're going to do is move somebody from unfriendly to friendly because garrisons are friendly. Then we're going to have 1 hostile tribe reaction. Who will come out? Another Solitaires. So the Solitaires are going to try to come out onto a spot that contains a level 2 settlement. So let's see how that'll play. All right, so basically what's going to happen is we're going to have to roll against this guy's resistance of 5. We're going to have a bonus of 2, but we have to basically get a total of 6 in order to make this work. So the way that this is going to work is we roll a die. Oh man, I'm rolling the 8s today. That's actually amazing. I'm shocked. Okay, so we have this 8. We would subtract the number of tribal units in the region. So there's only 1, so that makes it 7. Then we subtract the leadership bonus of any tribal leader in the region, none. Then we add the bonus back up, so it's like a 9. So if the modified die result exceeds the unit's resistance, eliminate it immediately. If it's less than or equal to, place it in the box with settlement. So this guy did not make it out onto the board. So that actually worked out great. I've been rolling lucky, but that's good because it actually lets me show you how things work as opposed to, oh, nothing happened, oops. So we'll just take it. Okay, so those were all of our actions. We'll do housekeeping one more time, and then we'll call it a day for this playthrough because you've seen basically all the major stuff of the game, and you can kind of get a glimpse of how to make that VP engine work for you. So what I'd be doing on the next turn probably is coming up here to work on this part of the world. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we are going to see if there's any raids, which there won't be. There's just not enough guys on any area. Tribal de-escalation won't happen. There's no place that has it has a 3 stack. We don't have any 3-level settlements here, so that's not going to happen. We'll try Romanization. So let's look at the contents of the dead pool. So there are no tribal units, but it's only a +2 settlement. So all of these guys are going to go unfriendly. Once we have a level 3 place there, these guys will all go into the friendly cup, which is kind of cool. Okay, so now we are going to have our income. So we're going to get 3 coins because our income is still 3, although it's going to go up once we build a better settlement. We get to add new auxiliaries if we want to, but I think I'm going to, let me think about it. I need to spend 4 coins to do anything, and I don't want to get, all right, I think I might spend to buy 1 auxiliary, so 1 coin. Let's see if we get anybody good for the Willeria Wictrix Legion. All right, so just another one. It's a better than nothing auxiliary, just to kind of fill this out. Now I'm going to do Public Works. So what we're going to do is we are going to pay 2 coins. Yeah, this is risky. We have 5 coins, and I'm going to just pay them all out and hope I don't have to pay anything else. So we are going to go ahead and pay 2 coins now to replace this garrison with a +3. We set this +2 settlement with a +3, so we've maxed out that settlement. And then, as risky as it is, we're going to go down to 1 coin in order to turn this garrison into a level 2 settlement, because it's just worth the money to have the area control and victory points in these regions. So now I get to score some victory points. So I get 1 VP per +3 settlement marker, so that's 1 VP that I'm going to get. I get 1 VP per region with no tribal units. So that's the blue region and the orange region this time. So that's 2 more points. So I've already hit the 8 threshold that I needed, which is great. I get 1 VP for each 3 Aquila Battle Legion unit. So Legion Battle unit. So I have 1, 2 of those. So that'll take me to 9, 10. So I'm at 10. And then we get 1 for each tribal leader in the dead pool. So it puts me at 11. So now if I want to purchase another unit, so if I were on a legionary camp, which I'm not right now, I could recruit, but I can't, but that's okay. We're going to enjoy having all these points, and if I want to spend some later, I can, because it's always pretty tight. But we're close to that 13 that we're going to need. I'm hoping I can get just a little bit of surplus in the next turn to be able to recruit a couple more legionary units so I can keep promoting them and keep getting all those points. So once again, we're going to have to do some cup adjustments. So we would go on to turn 3 because we beat our threshold. So as you might have noticed, things get tougher. So it starts at, so we would have to get 13 points for the next round, but by the end it has to be 75. So, you know, it's really no joke. You really have to get a lot of points every round consistently in order to succeed. So getting things that pay kind of dividends every single turn, like good settlements, tribal leaders, places that stay consistently empty, that stuff really, really matters in terms of being able to win, because if you don't have something under your control to generate points off of, you're just done. And that's not good. So now we're going to do our last cup adjustments for the turn as if we were going to continue, just to remind you. So 1 friendly becomes unfriendly. And then we are going to have 4 unfriendlies become hostile. So I have 2. And then 4. So that is how Agricola, Master of Britain roughly works. The main thing about the game is that none of the individual actions is that difficult. It's just a matter of making sure that you are consistently doing things that are going to reap rewards over time. The idea is to build a victory point engine that'll enable you to win. And then of course, if Calgakis shows up, which we didn't get to because normally that's a later game thing, then he is going to fight you at Mons Grappius, and if he's still on the board and you have failed to battle him by the end, well, you're pretty much done. So I hope that you enjoyed this little overview. I think that Agricola, Master of Britain is a really interesting, thematic, puzzly, nice introduction to solitaire wargaming. So I hope that you enjoyed this playthrough. If you did, please like and subscribe, and maybe even consider getting me a coffee, the coffee link down below. Happy gaming, and I hope to see you again soon.